episode of Justin the Food Entrepreneurs podcast. I'm Justin Bizzarro. I'm your host. That's Bizzarro, and you can find me on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Justin Bizzarro. And you can also find this podcast at Justin the Food Entrepreneurs as well on Instagram and Facebook. So with that being said, welcome back our new and upcoming co-host as well as entrepreneur, Skyler Rabson. How are you doing today, Skyler?
I'm doing good, Justin. I'm excited for another episode.
Awesome. So, Skyler, what have you learned this week as an entrepreneur before we get started? We'll warm up the audience.
Put me on the spot here. I've been doing a lot this week. I've been doing data entry and sorting out different items that we have, that we own, just putting that into a master list. So a lot of just like organizational stuff and how to maintain whatever business you own.
Skyler's tracking the money for us right now. So I would say that Skyler's starting to learn to track where all the money goes when on the equipment, when you need to do wear and tear and maintenance in the food business. So as all entrepreneurs know, maintenance kills you, misuse of equipment kills you. That's very quickly eats away at your margins and your profit and the money you're hoping to feed your family with. So it's pretty important. With that being said, today I have something for everyone, and it's pretty cool because I love pizza. And we have with us Matthew Foster of Phew Pies from Atlanta, Georgia. And by Atlanta, we mean Atlanta. So how are you doing today, Matthew?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, Matthew, tell us about yourself. How did you become an entrepreneur and why pizza?
Well, as you know, I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I kind of fell into entrepreneurship during the pandemic. Prior to making pizza, I was in entertainment production as well as the restaurant industry for about 8-9 years. Both of them will be off and on. So whenever I wasn't doing a tour or a TV show or movie or a concert, I would be either front of house or sometimes back of house at a restaurant. During March 2020, I was on tour with Nick Cannon and the Wildin' Out Arena tour when the pandemic, put the whole world on pause. So came back home, and pizza's always been my favorite food. I really, really, really love pizza. I always said after my career in entertainment, I will open up a pizzeria, and not mainly for like profit, because hopefully I would have did very well in my first career. It would be more or less just a watering hole and a passion project. I worked at a pizzeria as front of house prior to going on tour, and then kind of muscled my way back into the kitchen to, get some learning and training in the pizza making, business. So when I got back home from tour and, sitting at home like everyone else was, a lot of friends would hit me up asking, hey, you're making pizza. I see everyone is on making sourdough breads and stuff. I bet you making pizza. I was like, well, no, I'm staying at home watching Netflix. And after fielding a couple of calls, I, took a stab at, trying to make my own pizzas at home. So I go to the grocery store, get flour, cheese, tomatoes, tomato sauce, and just kept at it. I would bother my brother with, gallon Ziploc bags of, cheese pizzas and pepperonis and different recipes I was trying. So like, hey, try this out. Until I felt comfortable enough to try and sell it. So I put a menu out, which included the lemon pepper wet pizza, and no one was really buying it. So I had got a job printing t-shirts because, again, I was bored. But then my friend came over, bought the pizza and put it on Twitter. He bought the lemon pepper wet pizza. He put it on Twitter. And then, after maybe an hour or two, he hit me back. It's like, hey, you're getting a lot of traction on Twitter. A lot of people are hitting me up about how can they get this pizza. How do you want me, direct them to you? Like, you want me to give you your phone number, or, send them to your Twitter page or your Instagram? I was like, you can give them my number. So I did a couple more orders. And then I had people who wanted to buy pizza the next day. Like, all right. So I was prepping for that. He hit me again. It was like, hey, it's up to like 20,000 views. Like, you might have something. Like, keep your foot on the gas. I woke up the next morning and he called me. It's like, Killer Mike just retweeted you. And then from that point, Killer Mike's a big, prominent staple in Atlanta for his, of course, rap career, but also his activism. From that point, it would hit maybe like 80, 90,000 views, and my phone was ringing off the hook. So it went from hobby to kind of business, I want to say almost overnight. But yeah, no, I always wanted to do something with pizza. My favorite TV show is The Pizza Show, who's hosted by Frank Pinello, owner of Best Pizza in Brooklyn, New York. And the premise of the show is Frank would go around to different cities, and he even went overseas, tapping into different pizza scenes and cultures. And while watching the show, I noticed that he never came to the South, and Atlanta wasn't represented. So as I was pondering, like, all right, if I had to create a pizza that represented Atlanta, because of course, Detroit has their own scene, Jersey, of course, New York, LA. What would that pizza look like? And instantly I thought lemon pepper wet, because Atlanta, we're known for our lemon pepper chicken wings. And that's how the lemon pepper wet pizza was born. And that kind of just started the business, and I've been doing it ever since.
So one is, I would say, the whole world. I can't remember the song. And the whole world loves it when you go down,
Yep.
And that's, I think, is Killer Mike on that with Outkast, I believe, Big Boy and Andre 3000. So, although they're from College Park, I believe. So, there's that. But so, on that note, so I recognize the artist as well as the activism when you dropped Killer Mike. So, obviously he's been around with some well-known artists. On the other hand, let's talk about being an entrepreneur a little bit in the pizza. So let's talk about opportunity sort of knocks. You sort of had this experience in pizza and you liked it, and yet you followed your heart. So I think we're going to tap on that. I also want to talk about how you were in entertainment first, and sort of the importance of, and Skyler can write this, literally, I just wrote it on a whiteboard in the office in Georgia today in our kitchen there, which is showtime, which is how you're always performing, no matter if you're doing food, it doesn't matter if we're manufacturing it at massive scales, it's always showtime, and you're always trying to make an impression and add entertainment or show that you're going the extra mile as a person in food. So the timing of this podcast is a little ironic and both opportunistic in that there's the entertainment value of being in food, right? Also, and you come from that background, so you know how to talk to an audience. And not only that, one of the things I recognize is you wanted to pick up the phone and talk to people. A lot of people are entrepreneurs or in other spaces, they don't understand the importance of building a fan base or building an audience or building a customer base from that one-on-one from day one to start creating word of mouth. That's how everyone has to start. No one sold a single record, no one sold a single pizza pie without first getting out there and doing it and getting it out to people, and then word of mouth started. And so I think that that's just part of it, and you built the relationships with all the individuals before you were even in the food business. So I'd like to talk more about that, sort of what you saw, how you took things that you learned in the entertainment business and brought them into the food business, and then sort of what that means for your future in terms of Phew pies.
the production side, so behind the scenes, I wasn't like on camera talent for anything. So
Absolutely.
one thing that definitely correlates between the two industries, entertainment and food industry, is building industry and my food industry experience, and running Few Pies is with in the entertainment industry, and I was on the production side, so behind the scenes, not on camera talent. You respect each and every position, and it is the goal of seeing a production come to fruition from start to finish. Same, you have your recipes and specific ingredients, but you put everything into one. Everything plays its part to create the product. And then also too, no position is more important than the next. I definitely understood that, and everything ties into the next role. So your PAs or your deckhands are just as essential as your host or your camera operators. And your dishwasher is just as vital as your chefs and the people who take orders, and your bartenders. Also, like you said, it is a thing of you're always entertaining. So you never really turn it off when it comes to the food. You have to always play the character. Um, yeah. What else? What else? Um, but yeah, just seeing things through. It is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot of long hours and hard work in both industries. But it also, you got to have some passion as well. People who get into both industries aren't necessarily doing it only for the pay. Um, yeah, of course, we are here to make money, but you have to be passionate about your medium. And the creativity shines through in both aspects as well. You got to be a creative person, because with everything, you're not reinventing the wheel when it comes to movies, TV shows, um, awards, concerts, and when it comes to making pizza. Um, but it's how you can, show your creativity and shine through your medium and, tell a story. I feel like I'm telling the story of Atlanta when it comes to my pizza, because you've never seen, chicken wings or lemon pepper wet. Well, you might have seen chicken wings on a pizza before, but not in the way in which I'm doing
And so, what other pizzas are you doing? I mean, we see the lemon pepper. I agree; it's like a Nashville hot thing. I think Atlanta is very well known for it. And so,
it.
I mean, what else are you doing? Are you only doing pizza? How does someone get your products? Where do they find you online and on social media? And how do they order a pizza if they're in Atlanta, or how do they get it from you?
So at the moment, I'm just doing pizza. Of course, with expansion, I plan on offering, um, a bigger menu or more menu items. Our other best seller would be an oxtail and ricotta pizza. So I call our style of pizza metropolitan, where it's rooted in the basis of Neapolitan style pizza, but it's influenced by the culture in the inner city of Atlanta. To find us on Instagram or Twitter, you can follow us at Phew Pies, Phew, Pies. And then our website is www.phewpies.com. Um, uh, to acquire a pizza, we do mobile pop-ups all throughout the city, which we post on a regular basis of where we're going to be at. So if you want to get a pizza in person, for either pickup or dine in, you will follow us on Instagram, and then it's also posted on our website. You can also order through our website for pickup, um, as well as if you want delivery, we are on the Uber Eats platform for that.
Okay,
So
that's awesome. Oh, go ahead, Skylar.
I was gonna ask, so why did you choose to differ from the traditional path of just opening a brick and mortar store and instead do these pop-ups around different spots in Atlanta?
Well, the pandemic definitely influenced that decision. I saw a lot of restaurants, bars, and things of that nature shut down due to, people not being able to visit these establishments during the pandemic. But I also saw a great opportunity to still be present um, in front of a community, as well as I like, face-to-face interaction. Then it's an overhead thing too. It costs way less to partner with, let's say, a brewery or a bar or establishment to come and do provide food for a night or two, whereas the overhead of rent and utilities and staffing, things of that nature, I saw a benefit in doing pop-ups. Yeah, it's a way in which you can still kind of be a restaurant without having, everything financially associated with it. And there was still a need, for the service. People still were coming out of their homes and wanting to, have some time out and eat out. So doing it in an open air space where it's still COVID safe was a plus as well. And the market really in Atlanta dictated that too. I've met quite a few people who do the same thing with pop-ups. So all those factors led me to do that. Now, brick and mortar is still a goal, but the pop-up circuit has been really, really good. I look at it as related to entertainment, specifically music. Atlanta is the hip-hop capital of the world. I look at it as I am an artist, and these pop-ups are like concerts. So with every concert that you do, you gain more and more fans. Those fans go and tell someone else, like, hey, this is really cool. New artist out here, he's doing this. He has this music out. Well, with me, it'll be pizza. So each pop-up I look at as a show. And then the brick and mortar I would, look at as our album. So once the album is ready, we're still doing shows, we're still making, singles and putting out music. So we're still making pizza, putting out product. But at the whole time we are working on the grand album, which would be a brick and mortar.
So, Matthew, tell me this. How do you cook the pizzas, or are they already pre-cooked when you do a pop-up? Do you bring in equipment? I mean, sort of how do you do this so you can give people the freshest experience? That's my first question. And then the second question is, do you showcase your skills also? Do you vary the pizzas that you offer so that you can showcase different types of pizza, where you always have your base ones, but you also try to showcase your skills? When you're talking about as you orchestrate these things, I've got to imagine you're trying to up yourself every time. So what does that look like?
So we make everything fresh to order on location. So we'll prepare at a prep kitchen that we have, that we utilize. And then we'll bring all the supplies and, necessary equipment to make pizza on the spot. With the style of pizza that we make, it's best enjoyed, as fresh and hot as possible, because we use a propane powered oven, but it is fashioned into your traditional wood fired brick oven. So we have 3 of those that we bring to every location, and each and every time we do a pop-up, we try to up the ante with flavors and taste. So of course we have our base pizzas that we do, our classic ones where you can find basically at any reputable pizzeria, like your margaritas, your pepperoni, sausage, white pies, veggies. And then we also have our signature menu that we created, and we try to add to that each time. And then of course we take, uh, fan opinion too. So meaning, if you see something, if you don't see something on there, you want to try to create your own pizza. We're very open to doing that. We've had a couple of people who came up with ideas good enough that we, consider putting it on the menu.
So, what's your favorite pizza that you make, Matthew?
Me, I mean, I'm a purist, so I love margarita pizzas. um, Cheese is my favorite, and you know, I, that's the basis of all pizza. And anyone who says cheese pizza isn't pizza is crazy. Um, but on the menu, I really enjoy our jive turkey, which is our turkey meat lovers with the barbecue base. And then after that, it will probably be our lemon pepper wedge, either the regular or hot lemon pepper.
Skyler, what's your favorite type of pizza?
My favorite type of pizza? Oh, honestly, I just like a good slice of pepperoni. Go to New York a lot, so at
Yeah,
New York, you can't add too many things. It's one or two
right,
toppings. Good.
right.
Um, that would be mine.
Mm,
I also wanted to say that I like how you took something that you liked in pizza and you enjoyed doing
mm,
and related it to something else that you enjoyed and meant something to you in the music,
yeah,
and you add those two things together. I think that's really cool.
absolutely. I have a lot of friends who are recording artists now. I mean, they've been recording artists for a minute. And just seeing from back in like 2011, 2012, uh, their work ethic and grind and where they're at now, most of them are like signed to major labels and stuff and putting out albums and stuff. Just to see the correlations when we talk about like the food business and me doing pizza and their creative process and how they produce their music and how there's a lot of similarity um, is a really cool aspect. And like I said, a lot of things in entertainment and in food, really coincide. I mean, look at like the CD or the vinyl disc. It's round, much like a pizza. Uh,
Hmm.
Absolutely, I love that. I agree with you. One of the things is I think there's been other artists. Questlove, I know he had loved fried chicken, and as
mhm,
another artist, even though I think he's with Jimmy Kimmel Live now, he also
mhm,
crossed over in New York City. I remember doing some projects with him when we were
mhm.
building and designing restaurants as a company, and I think it's a natural thing as an entertainer as well as plenty of people use their name. I think plenty of country artists have used their name to build bars and stuff in Nashville.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think it's a similar idea that we're going to see, hopefully in Atlanta as well, where the artists are also coming back and reinvesting in their neighborhoods in this way. If they aren't already, Gladys Knight obviously has her famous fried chicken
Right.
place we all know about, but
Mhm.
it's the same idea. And I think that there's such a tying into the entertainment piece plus an orchestration. To your point, they're very similar. You're putting on a show every night when you're in the food business,
Mhm.
if you're in the restaurant or you own a restaurant or a fast food service or fast casual, whatever it ends up being.
Mhm.
And that's always very similar to me, the moving pieces. And it's the same as doing a sporting event sometimes. How do you orchestrate
Mhm.
everything together? And that's all business that you're learning. So I think they all tie together very well.
Absolutely. And with music and food, I've never met anyone who said they didn't like both. I haven't met a person who said I don't like pizza. It's like, all right, you might not like a certain style of pizza, but you got to find, what I'm saying, your thing, much like music. I've never met a soul who said, oh, I don't like sounds. I don't like music. You might not like all music, but you'll find something that you do gravitate towards, your flavor or your niche. Um, Not everyone has like the lemon pepper pizza. That's totally fine. But I think there is something on the menu or in the realm of pizza that you can find and say, hey, I do like. Much like music. I mean, I don't like all genres of music, but I really like like R&B. I really like electronic. I really like jazz.
And I think it's so true. I think that that's one of the most common things. And it's hard for me to imagine what we did when we couldn't capture sound the way that we do and have
Man,
music, and what we did as humans and what went on in our heads. And I just can't even imagine. And not to
no,
mention
not at all.
the ability to temper our own moods through music, and
Right.
turn a bad day into a good day, or
Mhm.
any situation, or pump ourselves up before a sporting event, whatever it is. I'm like, what happened
What
before
did
that?
you? Right.
Yeah. So it's one of
Yeah.
those things. Obviously, we ate food. We all know that. But I think
Right.
as we've seen an evolvement as humans, both like I think musically and artistically, it's also
Mhm.
translated into our food, where we see different types of pizza. Where I agree with you, there's
Mhm.
probably a way that you could find pizza that you like. Like I've seen a restaurant up north that literally uses naan, an Indian naan, and they
Yeah.
make Indian style pizzas. And it's the same
Mhm.
idea, but it's sort of pointed towards a different demographic. But it's also like
Right.
everyone loves pizza, so why not try this also? And it's not their
Right. Now,
main
exactly.
menu item, but they have it as one of their items where you can get everything on naan with, and it has an Indian fusion, if you will, or whatever the
Yeah.
concept would be, mix
Mhm.
on it. It's pretty cool. And I've seen people do it with tacos also in a similar fashion here in Milledgeville. Skylar can tell you
Absolutely.
about that Bollywood taco. But it's
Oh wow,
but it's but it's the
that
same
sounds
idea.
amazing.
The artistic talent, the ability to start thinking outside the box and saying, "Hey, it doesn't have to be this way." I think is
Exactly.
important. Pasta doesn't have to be Italian, as we can see.
That's
Go ahead.
exactly how I feel. Yeah, that's a big basis, or that speaks to me and Few Pies a lot because I'm black. You know what I'm saying? You don't see too many black people making pizza, and uh, honestly, that's not the ethnic group that you'll go to be aficionados in that realm. Like you would think, all right, Italian, but I'm not Italian. I love Italian food. I respect Italian culture, but I'm black. What do black people like seeing on pizza, or what do black people like eating? What our culture is more comfort, um, southern driven uh, cuisine, and then specifically Black Atlanta or Atlanta period now, because you can't escape chicken wings when you come to Atlanta. That's something that's a big staple here. So it doesn't have to necessarily be like I've gotten comments that like that's not real pizza, and it's like, well, why not? It checks all the boxes, where it's the dough, the sauce, cheese, and topping. It checks those boxes just because it's not what you traditionally would see as pizza does not take away from the form of pizza.
Well, and absolutely. And now we're starting to talk about something which is really how do we experience the world and expose ourselves to different things we don't understand and get out of our
Hmm.
communities. Food is a great way. Like, okay, we know there's pizza, but here's a new twist on it. It helps
Exactly.
expose us to different cultures, start getting familiar. And while it's not the ultimate thing, it's
Right.
starting to be stepping stones. And I think for
Absolutely.
me as a person, and exposure around the world, the way that I love to do it. It's not museums for me. It's food. That's the business I am. So I go into the communities. I
Absolutely.
go into the countryside, and we eat the food
Eat.
and our family, and we get to know the people and how they eat together and how they come together. And the real
Yeah.
conversations that happen, if you want to understand how other people live or that are different than you, which we should expose
Hmm.
ourselves to as much as possible, is sit down and eat with them. Seriously,
Exactly.
no matter where it
Exactly.
is. It's what we all
That's
do. Same as listen to
that
music.
is
Go ahead.
100%. Yeah, for sure. Like that it is a language. Food and music is a language, and it tells a story of someone's culture or what they've been through, or where they're from. So I 100% agree with you. I do that much too whenever I visit, unfamiliar place or somewhere I've been before. The first thing I do is try to tap into the cuisine because that's where the community is. Like you meet people. I was recently in Austin, Texas for a bachelor party, and the places that we ate spoke to the neighborhood that we were in or the community that inhabits these places. So we had, of course, a lot of tacos, but with the tacos, you would talk to who made them. There's a lot of like food trucks. And with the Italian, spot that we went to, we talked to the people who were there, and best way to be you can get to know someone is to break bread.
Absolutely. And I think that if you break bread with someone, or you go there and it's a way of building trust with someone, I'm accepting your customs, I'm accepting your culture.
Exactly.
Now we can have a conversation. You can ask me questions openly and I can ask you, because I've already made the first step in accepting the food and the culture, the way you eat. For example, in India, it's with your hand, and we know in Asian countries it's with chopsticks. So some of it may not, you have the skills, but showing that you want to have those skills or an interest in it shows a lot of respect right off the bat and building trust. And so it's things like that I think are just so important. And it doesn't matter, to your part, it could be anywhere in the United States. Miami has a different food scene than Atlanta, and Atlanta has a different food scene than Nashville. So it's not about staying in comfort zones. We do this because there's so many franchises in the world. Nothing they're saying wrong with it. I get it. But if you're wanting to experience something, you got to sort of step out of your comfort zone a little bit on what's normal and go experience the different neighborhoods, experience the food and the restaurants and the things that are popular there, and do it. Literally walk your way through it. I think that you will find that experiencing whatever it is, it's amazing, the food, and it's better than a fast food place or any restaurant that you're used to, like a TGI Fridays or whatever. Like, get in there and expose yourself to just the country we even live in if you're in the United States. And I know we have a lot of international listeners, and it's the same thing. A lot of them always talk about getting exposure because they get so much exposure than the United States. But I think ultimately all of us can do it very easily through food, and even just walking through different neighborhoods in Atlanta, if you're in Atlanta, where a few pies are. So how did you come up with the name? Is it because of Matthew instead of Italian?
So growing up in the South, as you know, we have a draw, we have accent, so everyone would call me Matthew instead of Matthew, and I would correct them until one day someone's like, all right, you're such a smart ass, we're just gonna call you Phew from now on. And the name stuck. That was around like T-ball or Little League age, and it's stuck with me since then. So, and then also it kind of plays on the menu where it's like we do a few pies. My thing, first thing I ever wanted to do was build a conglomerate called Few and Far, which means you take a few good people with a few great ideas as far as possible. So piggybacking off of that is like, look, I got a few things that I do well, and these pies are it. So you won't see, 14, 15, well, I might increase that, but at the moment, you're not going to see like 24 different, variations of pizza. Like, I've seen establishments that have that, where it's a little overwhelming. Like, now we got these pies that we do really well, a few good pies that we do really good well, and there you have it.
I love the tie into your name. Skyler, as we start wrapping things up, is there any questions that you have, any things that you wanted to ask before we get off?
Yeah, so I was scrolling through your Instagram a little bit, and I saw some people who I recognize, and just kind of tying the culture and the food and everything together. I guess who is the most meaningful person? Who meant the most when they came and they tried your pies?
The most. I mean, honestly, the everyday common person without some celebrity tied to their name means the most to me, because those are the ones that drive the business. It's cool to get a celebrity every now and then, because of course it attracts attention. But what sustains the business and me are the everyday people. I even hate saying everyday people, because celebrities are nothing but everyday people with irregular jobs. But the coolest celebrity who's actually not depicted has been probably Ludacris. He was really cool. Uh, Earth Gang, those are my friends. I grew up with them. It's they're real cool. That was a pleasure because again I was with them when they was I guess starving artists and coming into the music industry. So to see them now where they're at, and then they supported me from my first endeavors with food, and for me to grow where I'm at now, nowhere near the level of success that they're at, but we will get there. um, who else? Gunna, he was cool. I pulled up on Gunna and Young Thug for a video shoot and gave them pizzas. That was real cool. But I know who it is. Lou Williams, who's Atlanta Hawk, a Georgia basketball legend, also known as Lemon Pepper Lou. He shops with me all the time. Through shopping, we noticed that we had like common friends. Uh, so he's been a real big supporter, and so I like to say is a friend of mine who he calls me whenever he's back in Atlanta. Like, oh, I need some pizzas.
That is awesome. And I think the whole thing is it's the continuation of the customers, and if the customers keep coming in, the celebrities will keep coming in also.
Exactly.
And it's just one of those things. If you treat you treat every customer like they're a celebrity, then the celebrities are going to feel like celebrities, and so are your customers. So it's a win-win each way.
Right.
Which I thought was a good question, Skyler, and I thought it was a great answer because it's spot on in the whole thing, right? And also sometimes I think celebrities always don't want to feel like celebrities. They're trying to run businesses and they're trying to eat their food.
Sure.
So, I think that's an interesting thing as well in owning a food business, because you cater to that as well sometimes. And but either way, I think having those relationships, treating everyone so well where a celebrity doesn't realize they're being treated as a celebrity because every client and customer is a celebrity. It's a pretty good thing.
Absolutely.
And lastly, as we start wrapping things up, what is the best lesson you've learned in food since that you could translate for the audience?
The best thing is don't quit. One of my favorite artists, Nipsey Hussle, said when defining his success, there was no distinguishing quality that he had over the next person or his counterpart or contemporary. It was he just never gave up. He didn't quit, and I've seen that to be true. Those who don't give up, those who don't quit, win. So if you're passionate about it, you believe in yourself, of course, you gotta have confidence, but don't quit, don't give up. And also, you need to define what success is for you. To me, I am successful because I pay all my bills doing something I really enjoy doing. I've had countless jobs, from washing dishes to holding a sign, to pick up people from the airport, to working with kids, to working in entertainment, to working in food, working at a law firm. I've worked almost every job under the sun you can think of, except on dirty jobs. I haven't done any of those. But you got to define what success is to you. Those jobs, a lot of jobs, they were cool. The pay was all right. Didn't really like it that much. But you got to, find something that you like and define what success is for you. Don't let outside influence or forces tell you you're not successful. Piggybacking on that, talking about my friends Earth Gang, they define what success is for them. They didn't let anyone else. Of course, they're coming into more mainstream success, but to be able to support yourself and your family and be happy with what you're doing, that's what I would consider success. So don't give up. Have confidence in yourself, and you define on your terms what successfulness is, what success looks like.
And I
Because
agree.
just because you have a restaurant doesn't mean you're successful. I know a lot of people who have restaurants who struggle. And on the outside, it looks like, oh, you're super successful. When in reality, not so much. So don't, let the next man tell you what it is or what it isn't to be successful.
I agree 100%. I think if you find something
Hello?
you love, you need to continually chase it. And I think that when you find that thing you love and you continually chase it, that it's that it gives it a whole other meaning. And to your point, you've got to be in it for the long term, because the gains don't happen for years. It takes years.
Right. It takes a long time. Like, it takes a long time for sure. I'm doing better financially than I was 2-3 years ago with me being my own boss. But again, I'm no millionaire. You know what I'm saying? It costs to play. You gotta pay to play. That's another thing a lot of people don't realize once you get into it. It's not all profit, and it's gonna take a couple of years to be quote unquote profitable. Like, there might be a lot of money coming in, but there is also a lot of money that goes out to being able to run a business.
And it's a lot of that. And it's exactly what you said. It's some people get into it and like, oh, I'm just going to profit this. Well, there's a lot of moving parts and things you got to squeeze pennies out of in order to get those dollars at the end of the day, for whatever you're making, pizza and food in particular. If you're in music, it would be if you're wasting studio time and you're not being efficient, for example, that could burn up your budget pretty badly. And so
Absolutely.
It's how do you use that time? How are you efficient? How much, not putting too much pepperoni on the pizza, for example, but still making sure the customer feels they got enough pepperoni. It's that whole juggling act.
Exactly.
So
food cost is real. Food cost is real.
I know it's a real thing. It's like I just walked Skyler around our whole facility today as I'm training some of the managers, and it's like, and one of the managers said to him, every step is $1. And it's right. Every step you take in there is something you notice that's saving money. So
I like that. I'm going to have to steal that. Every step is $1.
Yeah, there you go. So,
that's very true.
Well, Matthew, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can steal it away. And I just wanted to thank you for coming on. I'd like to do a part 2 with you. I'd like Skyler to set it up because I have a lot more questions, but I don't want to run this episode too long for the audience. So I'd like to just schedule a part 2 and go right into that. And it'll be a little more structured just because I have so many questions now based on this conversation. And I'd like Skyler to go ahead and do that. But for the audience, you can find Matthew. It's at PHEWPIES on Instagram. Right. And is it the same on Twitter?
It's same on Twitter, yes, sir.
And are you on Facebook as well?
Same on Facebook. Phew Pies on Facebook as well.
Awesome. And I saw on any of those, I believe you can tap the link to your website so they can find you there. And then what I'm hoping, Matthew, is if we can get you on again next week or the following week, we'll just do a back-to-back episode because I have tons more questions and thoughts, and I think we're on the same wavelength. So I think it's important to continue to go down this road for the audience. Who all probably right now need to know not to give up, especially in food and everything that's going on in their lives. So
right, shoot, I'm just coming out of what we call the slow season of post Thanksgiving, pre Valentine's, where you hit those Christmas and New Year's holidays, and everyone has a resolution. So there are ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. But as long as you strap in for the ride, you'll be fine.
Absolutely. Thanks, Skyler, again for co-hosting and setting it all up. And thank you, Matthew, and thank you, audience, for listening in. And, pay the fee, guys. Write a review, share the podcast. If you're getting something out of it and an entrepreneur who's interested in food, share what we're doing here. We're trying to help everyone. So thanks, everyone, for listening in, and have a great day.